Hello. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to be here. Today we will be watching 4 Shadow Theater plays that we have worked hard to create, each themed around one of the 4 forces that we have learned about in our expedition. The 4 forces are gravity, wind, water, and heat. Our expedition started with a trip to visit the planetarium to see a show about the Hubble Space Telescope and the objects in space that it has revealed. Since then in science, we have been learning more about objects in space and how the 4 forces will affect them.
In language arts, we have been reading myths about the 4 forces and putting together these shadow plays about them. In social studies, we have been researching natural disasters caused by these forces. And in math, we have been learning about scientific notation and how it can be used, and learning about our objects in space. In music, we have been composing the sound for these shadow plays.
Our first play is about gravity and is called the Earthling Fish, a myth from Japan. Gravity is the force of attraction that pulls elements together or toward a point. Without the help of gravity, no nebulae would exist. Instead, you would have an interstellar medium. Gravity is also an essential force for us on Earth, as it keeps not only us on the ground, but everything else. Furniture, babies, and cars, to name just a few, would all float away without the help of gravity. When gravity is against us, we struggle to survive earthquakes and landslides. We hope you enjoy this performance.
Earthquake fish. Mukashi Mukashi, long, long ago, all of Japan rode on the back of Jishin Uo, the earthquake fish. Its head lies beneath Kyushu in the south, and its tail supports Aomori in the north. Like a giant catfish, it has long feelers that twitch when it is disturbed.
The earthquake fish was causing much destruction to Japan. Every time a factory moved, an earthquake happened. Many people were dying and villages were being destroyed. It could not go on like this. So finally, the gods Kotori and Kabishima noticed and decided to take action.
Kotori and Kashima planned. Kotori and Kashima planned to save the humans from Jishin Uo's destruction. They decided to go to Earth to battle earthquake fish. When they arrived, Kashima pulled out his deadly silver sword.
The earthquake fish thrashed, trying to throw him off. Kashima held fast onto its gills and raised his sword. Then he stopped, thrusting it down so forcefully that it went all the way through.
Now you will grow still,
Kashima commanded.
people watches over Jishin Uo. If it grows restless, then Kashima says,
You will grow silent.
he rides the earthquake fish and tells him to grow still. Years have passed and the sword has turned to stone.
It now steadies the ground and keeps the rocks in place. It is called Kaname Ishi, the rivet rock. It holds the layers of earth together like a rivet, binding the leaves of a fan.
Earthquake fish is straining with Kashima on its back. Kaname rock is raining. Jishin Uo cannot crack.
The heat myth you will see portrayed in our next shadow play is called The Coming of Fire. Heat is the force of creation that releases energy as it transforms elements. In the very hot heart of stars and space, new elements are constantly being created. In our daily life, heat is also very important. In the cold winter months, we could freeze without the help of heat. We wear winter coats and such to trap the heat coming from our own bodies. When heat is against us, we fight to put out wildfires and to escape volcanic eruptions.
The Coming of Fire. Gorda the fire spirit lived among the stars of the Southern Cross. Gorda was lonely. Gorda looked down upon Earth and saw the humans hunting, laughing, and telling stories. He invited them to come to his home, but they never arrived. One night, Gorda saw the humans eating raw meat and huddling together for warmth. He decided that they needed fire and that he would venture to Earth to give them some.
Gordo followed the path of a shooting star down to Earth. As soon as his feet touched the ground, the dry brush exploded into flames. After feeling the heat on their faces, the humans were horrified, so they ran away from Gorda and his fire. People dove into rivers and ran away. Animals buried themselves into the ground, and birds escaped by flying away.
Exhausted, Gorda sat down to rest. He picked up a piece of blackened kangaroo and began to eat. As he was eating, he realized his mistake. He needed to appear to the humans in a more friendly form so that they did not run away from him and so they aren't scared of him. So Gorda turned himself into a human. He painted a diamond on the chest of his human form. He decided that this would be a symbol. He took out a stick he could shoot fire from. Now, he could talk to the humans and teach them the ways of fire.
In the morning, as the sun rose, hunters appeared. Gorda saw them and he stood up. He greeted them. Flames began to shoot from the stick he held. He told them not to be scared and that fire could be useful. He picked up a piece of blackened kangaroo and gave it to the hunters. He showed them that meat is much better cooked.
The hunters each took a bite of the blackened kangaroo and they agreed. Gorda taught the hunters the ways of fire. He showed them how to create fire by rapidly rubbing 2 sticks together.
After the hunters learned everything there was to know about fire, they went back to their families to show them. Finally content, Gorda ventured back to the Southern Cross.
To this day, Gorda's flames still dance among the stars.
In space, wind carries particles from the sun out into the solar system. Down on Earth, wind also carries things, now in the form of hats and kites. When wind is against us, we batten down the hatches in the face of tornadoes and hurricanes. In the next shadow play, you will see a myth called the Keeper of the Winds.
Ulysses is on his way home to the land of Ithaca to see his family. On his way, he stumbles upon a bronze wall. He turns the ship to go along the wall, and Ulysses comes to a gate, which immediately falls open, rendering him unconscious. Ulysses awakes from his slumber, he finds himself and his crew stuck on the island of the Keeper of the Winds. He finds himself facing the great Keeper of the Wind, Aeolus. Aeolus is a fat demigod. Aeolus realizes the crew will have a long, difficult journey ahead of them to Ithaca and invites Ulysses and his crew to a banquet.
At the banquet, Aeolus reveals that he loves to listen to stories. So Ulysses tells Aeolus the story of the Trojan War, in an attempt to get Aeolus to help him get home. Aeolus enjoys the story so much that he decides to assist Ulysses on his trip to Ithaca. Aeolus gives him the winds of the north, east, and south. Aeolus seals the winds in a leather bag.
Stayed awake for 9 days and nights in order to protect the bag Aeolus gave him. As he
Ithaca in the distance, he can't help but to close his eyes. Ulysses was exhausted and he immediately fell asleep. Poseidon began swimming alongside the ship and he began clicking. The crew thought the bag was full of gold coins.
Yes, open it!
They decided to stab the bag, which releases the winds. They tattered the sail of the ship and play until Aelus whistled for them. The winds angrily flew back to the islands of the Keeper of the Winds. Ulysses woke up from all the commotion. Ulysses sadly watched Ithaca fade away into the distance. After 2 days, he and his crew reached the islands of the Keeper of the Winds, bleeding and bruised. They all begged Aelus for winds back, but he refused to grant them their wish because he knew that the gods were mad with him for assisting Ulysses. The gods were not happy with him due to the Trojan War. Aelus ordered them to leave and never come back.
Ulysses, with his tattered sails and broken mast, starts sailing back home, knowing that Ithaca is far, far away, and it'll take months to return back to his homeland. As he yearns for his family, he's depressed because he won't be able to see them in quite some time.
Water is the force of organization that combines elements into living things. On Earth, all life forms have a high percentage of water as part of their bodies. In outer space, water is found in comets, which release gas when they near the sun. When water is against us, we are struggling to clean up after floods and tsunamis. Our final myth is called Earth and Sky Reconcile. It tells a story of water.
Earth and Sky Reconcile. A long time ago, all of the people and animals lived happily together. Earth and sky were at peace. They all lived in a lush green forest that was full of life. Everything was beautiful. Until one fateful day. The hunters decided to set fire to a bush with hopes that all the animals in the area would flee downward where they would wait to hunt them. After a long time, they caught and killed a meager rat.
The tradition after a hunt was to offer the first caught prey to the eldest, and in return they would help the hunters be more successful. The rat was brought to Earth and Sky. They argued about who was eldest. Earth received the rat, but to prove his superiority, Sky left Earth. Their friendship was ruined.
First, Earth was not affected, but soon the absence of sky took its toll. The people and animals noticed that sky had withheld the rain, and a drought ensued, which was devastating to the lush green landscape. It turned to a barren desert within days. There was a person of vision who came forth in the crowd.
Have you grown with sky?
Yes.
You must give the rat to sky.
Earth agreed to bring the rat to sky.
Which of you noble birds will carry out this honorable deed?
Hawk volunteered and flew upward, but soon began to plummet to the ground, landing roughly. Hornbill volunteered too, but had the same outcome. Then Vulture spoke up and said,
Now it is my turn.
Vulture flew towards sky, and when the animals on Earth heard a clap of thunder, they knew Vulture was at sky's door. Vulture delivered the rat to Sky and apologized for Earth's rudeness. Sky offered him forgiveness along with 3 gourds with the following instructions. When you are out of my door, break the first gourd. When you are halfway down, break the second. And break the third when you reach Earth.
Vulture broke the first gourd, which caused clouds to form. He then broke the second gourd, causing a light rain. As he landed, he broke the last one. After arriving safely with sheets of rain falling on his head, he began to pack his beak into the houses of the people and animals.
They all yelled at him to go away and neatly plucked the feathers off his head. At the end of the night, he had no more feathers on his head. In his rage, he flew to a branch high on a tree and yelled out,
So this is how you repay me for the sacrifice I have made? From now on, whenever you receive a favor, you will have to pay it back.
He then cursed them so that all favors required a price. To this day, no matter what the favor, you have to repay the person for the favor that they did for you.
Thank you for coming. We would like to give our appreciation to everyone that has helped us.
We would like to appreciate Kat from Side by Side and the astronomers from the Southern Maine Astronomy Society for coming in and talking to us about what they would do.
We would now like to invite you to a brief reception, have a cookie, and talk with the students about their work.